Hello and welcome back. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier's 6th and final episode didn't quite stack up to some of the show's better episodes, with some characters having unsatisfying or confusing ends to their stories, but still made for an exciting and rewarding finale. So let's dive in. I'll start with the Flag Smashers because they largely got gypped in this show. Apparently they were supposed to have a much larger part to play in this show, but due to the coronavirus pandemic, a lot of their story was cut. It's unknown exactly what this part of the story was supposed to be, but it's believed that it was supposed to have something to do with an airborne virus, which, with COVID, I can understand why they removed it. It might have been a bit on the nose for some people. The vaccines that were being stolen in episode 2 were an allusion to this, and as a result, Carly's death felt underwhelming. She became even less likeable as the show went on and eventually proved that Zemo was right. With a reduced screen time as a result of the cut storyline, she largely felt like a nuisance compared to some of the more rounded, complex characters in the series. I'm really interested to see if they ever mention the Flag Smashers again in the MCU, because their impact wasn't really that big on a global scale, and it really felt at times like they were just there to give everyone else in the show someone to unite against. The Power Broker reveal was pretty underwhelming as well. I called it, but I'm not exactly happy about it. Sam and Bucky never find out about this either. The reveal goes over about as well as a wet fart, because who else is going to be this late in the show? Sharon gets her pardon as promised by Sam and plans to use her old job to help further her work as the Power Broker. The problem with Sharon being revealed to be the Power Broker is that it basically betrays her entire comic book history of being one of the good guys. I've seen a lot of chatter online suggesting that she might actually be a Skrull in disguise because this is such a big departure from her comic book character, but I feel like this is a bit of a slippery slope. We've had one Skrull reveal already in WandaVision, and we were speculating all through that show who was going to be revealed as a Skrull, but I understand that Skrulls are a huge part of Marvel's storytelling, but we can't just go slapping any character that's acting slightly outside of the normal with a Skrull label, because it's just kind of lazy and it will get old super quick. While Sharon is acting differently to her comic counterpart, this isn't the comics, this is the MCU. This is just another reality for Marvel, and I've been saying this for years. They can do what they want with these characters because this is an entirely different reality. The MCU's Earth is Earth 199,999. The main Marvel Comics Earth is Earth 616. And much like how comic writers can come in and completely change a character to fit their particular run that they want to do, Marvel Studios are welcome to do the same. If that's what they want to do with Sharon's story, fine. It wasn't great, it was one of the weaker parts of this show, but if that's what they want to do, they are more than welcome to. Her story obviously isn't finished, so we'll have to see where it develops in future shows and movies. And with that said, what's next for Sharon? She said that super soldiers are out, but government secrets and prototype weapons are in. Could that be a hint towards a second season? It was said this week that the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Loki both could get more than one season, whereas WandaVision was a one-time event. There's already some speculation online that Sharon could reappear as the Power Broker in Armor Wars, which is currently in development. I think the biggest letdown in this episode for me was actually Bucky finally confronting Yori Nakajima. I had been dreading this scene the entire season and was fully expecting it to be deeply emotional and give Sebastian Stan another chance to really dig deep, but it just kinda happened. Bucky finally tells Yori that he was responsible for his son's death, and 10 seconds later we see him leaving the room. The scene felt really rushed. For something that had been weighing on him this entire season, this felt like a complete disservice to Bucky, and I really wanted more payoff for him. John Walker's arc also kinda muddies in this episode, with him somewhat redeeming himself when it matters most. Instead of chasing down Carly, he shakes off his bloodthirsty rage and saves the GRC members from falling to their deaths. But he still violently murdered a dude in cold blood in broad daylight with Captain America's shield. We're not going to forget about that in a hurry. Last week we saw him stripped of the Captain America title, and this week we see him fully become the comic book character of US Agent at the hands of Julia Louis-Dreyfus's Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. So what's next? It's been rumoured for some time that Marvel want to build a Thunderbolts or a Dark Avengers team in the MCU, and for those who don't know, the Thunderbolts and the Dark Avengers are basically the same team, the name just varies depending on who's leading them. In the comics, it's a group of reformed villains who do some good to change the public's perception of them, but it's always revealed that, surprise, they were never good. The Thunderbolts are usually led by Baron Zemo, which could carry over into the MCU, and the Dark Avengers are usually led by Norman Osborn, who we haven't seen yet in the MCU. So Contessa could be taking that role, or she could be working for a yet unseen Norman Osborn. The Dark Avengers are formed as part of a response to the fallout from the Secret Invasion, which is also being adapted into a Disney Plus series. It was actually reported just a couple of days ago that Emilia Clarke and Olivia Colman have signed on to that series in undisclosed roles. Samuel L. Jackson is currently confirmed to appear, and I believe Ben Mendelsohn is also returning as Talos. So could John Walker become a Dark Avenger or a Thunderbolt? I absolutely think he could. He does in the comics. His alignment at the end of the series is left vague. I think he's going to continue to just follow his comic book character and remain an anti-hero. He's sort of redeemed himself in this episode, and he's proven that deep down he does want to do good. He just has to get rid of that roid rage first. One nice detail that I liked about John Walker was that his shield had a distinctly different and cheaper sound than the real Captain America shield. It was just a little detail like that hammers home that he really is just a knockoff. But with that said, I loved Wyatt Russell's performance as John Walker. He did a great job of making him both somehow redeemable but completely unlikable at the same time. I really hope we get to see him again, which I think we will, but if the Thunderbolts thing ends up falling through and not happening, I would really like it if he got like a Punisher style series or something. I think that would really suit him. And on that scene of saving the GRC van, we can't not talk about Sam saving the day. Now equipped with a Wakandan Captain America / Falcon hybrid suit, Sam lifts up the van in a Superman-esque style, and this is just one of many incredible moments Sam gets in this episode, with his transformation to Captain America now complete. It felt so rewarding to see him in action in what is now the MCU's single greatest suit, and I will fight anyone who says otherwise. It is bold, the colours are striking, it looks cheesy as hell, and I am all about it. Once again, this show gives Sam some incredible, unique choreography that shows that he doesn't need a super soldier serum to hold his own. But it's not his actions that define Sam as Captain America, it's his words as he delivers a powerful speech to the GRC members.
I'm a black man carrying the stars and stripes. What don't I understand?
This scene really felt like it could have been lifted straight from the pages of a comic book. You could almost see the speech bubbles appearing around Sam's head as he spoke. Between that and making things right with Isaiah Bradley, Sam quickly showed that he really, truly deserves to be Captain America. I'm really looking forward to seeing what's next for Bucky. The title card at the end of this episode changed from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier to Captain America and the Winter Soldier, which, personally, I don't think is a great idea. Bucky's whole arc in this series was him trying to shed that Winter Soldier alias. The White Wolf might not be an entirely appropriate moniker either if it's exclusively used by the Wakandans, but even in universe, the Winter Soldier has a lot of bad history associated with it, so you'd think they want to get away from that name with his new reformed personality. Hell, even if they just made it Captain America and Bucky Barnes, or Captain America and Sergeant Barnes, that would work. I did see one idea on Reddit this morning that I thought was pretty cool. Bucky taking on the Nomad mantle, an alias adopted by Steve Rogers when he stepped down as Captain America. That way both he and Sam can carry on Steve's legacy in a manner befitting their characters. Plus, Captain America and the Nomad has a pretty good level of comic book cheese about it. I've seen a number of complaints about loose threads in these shows, and what do you expect? This is a Marvel show, they're not in the business of one-offs. Everything is connected in these shows, so of course they're going to leave a few loose threads. That's how they've had the longevity that they have. Fucking idiots. This show was about Sam and Bucky's struggle to find themselves in a new world. A world without Steve Rogers, a world where they themselves don't know where they belong. So of course they're going to leave a few things loose. They've got this brand new platform with Disney Plus where they can build out new characters and storylines that they wouldn't have the time to do in a 2 to 3 hour movie, and they don't want to spend the time doing over 10 years with movies. I think there's a percentage of fans out there that need to just drop their sense of entitlement and enjoy what they're getting, because we're getting more Marvel content than we could ever dream of. And just because one of their first shows isn't getting all neatly wrapped up with a bow is no reason to go slating them. Clearly they are building to bigger things, and they can now do it faster than 2 to 3 films a year. What did you think of the finale? I don't think it was perfect, but I think Marvel Studios did a really good job of working around a pandemic to make what was a great series. The main characters are so rich and real, and that is largely down to the powerful performances from the cast. The action was hard-hitting, plentiful, and most importantly unique. A lot of excellent choreography showed me things that I had never seen before, and that's what I look for in good action. The attention to detail in things like music and character moments really solidified that this show was made with great care and that everyone involved really wanted to do right by it. And I think they succeeded. It wasn't perfect, but it was pretty damn good, and I'm still hopeful for a second season. But now we're back to a drought. 7 weeks before Loki and almost 3 months before we get Black Widow, so I'm going to have to get creative to fill in the gaps. Thankfully, the promotional run for Loki has already started, and just this week we got the first trailer for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, so hopefully we'll get more of that over the coming weeks for me to break down. It's kind of mad that 7 weeks between Marvel shows seems so long when we've just gone over a year without any Marvel content at all, but that's just a testament to how good it is. It's just so much fun to watch that we just keep wanting more. Thank you so much for watching. This has been a real treat to break down this show because it was completely different from WandaVision, which presented a new challenge for me as well, because I'm not a professional reviewer by any stretch. Maybe one day, but right now I'm still learning. I'll be back to do the same for Loki, which looks absolutely nuts, and I'm hoping to fill in as much of the 7 weeks on here as I possibly can. So if you've got any suggestions for anything you would like to see that's Marvel Studios related, whether it's a trailer breakdown or there's comic characters that are coming up to the movies that you want to know more about, give me a comment and let me know. I'm aiming for about 1 video a week, but I don't want to make any promises just in case. Thank you again for watching. I'm Corey Millen, and I'll see you real soon.